I wanted to sit down and talk about this book, Girls Burn Brighter by Shobha Rao. This book really got to me. Like, I'm talking nightmares, crying, just so many emotions came to me out of this book. The main reason for that is the heaviness of the topic. It talks a lot about systemic poverty and how it's linked with misogyny and abuse. And it's just a really, really heavy read, and one that's going to stay with me for a long time. I actually talked about this book recently in my top 30 books with powerful female leads. There's actually 2 female leads in this, and I think one of the really special things about this book is that any romance things are secondary, and the main bond is the relationship between the 2 female characters in this book, to the point where actually I wondered if there was more than just friendship at one point. I don't know if you've read the book and you felt that as well. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. So this book starts off set in a small rural village in India. We don't know the time frame of when it's set, but we know that the village has no electricity, and the main activity that people do there for money is to weave, and they work on the loom by hand. And we are introduced to Purnima, one of our central female characters, at the beginning of the book, and she lives with her father. Her mother has passed away when we meet her, and it's all about how she works on the loom. She's proud to bring in some money for her family. She has to do a lot of the childcare. She essentially is a bit like a servant in her own family, serving up food to her father, and will eventually be married off to someone, which is a trigger point for the story. We then get introduced to our second female lead, who is called Savita. So she is another girl from the village. I think they're presented as kind of similar age. They're both around years old from what I remember. And she is actually born into poverty that is even more extreme than Purnima's. So Savita's family often go looking on the rubbish dumps for things that they can repurpose, recycle, try and sell, that they can use, that they can eat. And it really made me think, actually we studied this book in school last year with the students, called Trash by Andy Mulligan, where the central story takes place on a rubbish dump and the lives of children who live on the rubbish dump. So one of those things about extreme poverty. And one of the best parts of the book is when Purnima and Savita first start to meet, and you can feel their friendship growing. It's like the only enjoyable part of their day is that they can just be around each other and be together in this world where they have been brought into, where what their fathers say goes. And this is a spoiler-free episode, something awful happens in their village, in their home, and it is then a trigger point for everything that happens next. And Purnima and Savita get separated, and the rest of the book is basically their separate lives and what happens to them and how they are just so resilient. It's called Girls Burn Brighter. It's meant to be about the flame of fire that keeps them both going, but the things that they experience when they go out of the village. I mean, there's awful things that happen in the village, but a lot worse things that also happen to young girls. There are lots of things about brothels, rape, sex work by children, addiction, people being drugged against their will, sex trafficking, really upsetting content. So if you are sensitive to any of those things, then I don't suggest you read this book. I do, however, think if you can stomach it, it is extremely eye-opening to the realities of the world. And for me, one of the main things that I respected about the book is it's not just about the poverty in India and the awful things that are happening to women in India, but both characters end up trafficked to the US, and it is about their experience and what happens to them there. And I think that's an important point that Shobha Rao is making. Like, this isn't just an India problem with poverty, this is a problem that is international. The misogyny and abuse that young girls experience is global, it is international. Women are trafficked across the world, across continents, and it's just a really emotional read. I think because of the title of the book, you try to remain hopeful the whole way through for both of the characters. I can't say that I felt hopeful the whole way through the book, and I'm not going to ruin the ending for you. If you've read it, I'd love to know if you found it a hopeful read, because I think that some of the content was just so graphic, and rightly graphic, because it's not gratuitous, it's actually talking about these awful things that happen and are allowed to happen around the world. So I don't think I found it a hopeful read. But I think the two main characters are fantastic, the way they complement each other. Different chapters are from each part of them. The storytelling alternates between each of them in the chapters, and I have to say, generally there are like no redeeming men in the book. There's one potential one, and you're like, oh, is this gonna be the one pleasant male character? And then things happen and you're like, well, I don't think that anymore. Without giving any spoilers away, if you thought that the one redeeming one was redeeming, I'd love to know why, because I just found him very problematic, to be honest, which I think we're probably supposed to. I recommend this book to people who are not the faint of heart, who want to learn more about poverty and the fate of girls around the world. I think if you love books about India, then a lot of the story is set in India. I've actually got a whole list of 30 books that are my recommendations for books set in India here, so go ahead and click on that next. It is a feminist story, but I don't know how empowered you feel when you finish it, because it is just so emotionally draining. So if you've read this book, I'd absolutely love to hear from you. I've got a lot of books coming up next. I am going to do a book review on Transcendent Kingdom by Yak Gyasi, so go to that one next. Thank you for listening.